What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video on this Saturday morning. I wanted to talk to you guys about what I thought was a little bit surprising in a way. An update from an NFL insider. Jordan Schultz shared why he thinks that the New York Jets job is actually a favorable destination. So NFL insider Jordan Schultz was on the air on Fox Sports 1. He was on with Colin Cowherd. And he was talking about the Jets open GM list or open GM job. And his surprising update was that those around the league interviewing for GM jobs actually view the Jets as a favorable destination. Here's why.
This is still a marquee job, the marquee franchise, and an owner in Woody Johnson who will give you time. He gave Joe Douglas 6 years, Colin, 6 years without a single playoff appearance. That's almost unheard of. So executive GM candidates are looking at the Jets like, if I go there, not only can I build, but I'll have the time, I'll have the runway. And there's a lot to be said about that. But I believe the Jets will name a GM within the next week, maybe a little sooner, and then you'll have the head coach, and then you can have the Aaron Rodgers discussion. But that's a fluid situation in the sense that if the new GM comes in and believes that Aaron is a viable bridge quarterback, there's a possibility that Aaron comes back next year. Most people around the league believe that Aaron is done.
Well, they do.
Most people, but I'm not willing to say that necessarily, because if the GM comes in and says, I think Aaron with this roster can win us 10, 11 games if we keep him upright, that's possible that he comes back.
So Jordan Schultz cites the time that is given to Jets general managers as a reason for why people would like the job. And if you look back in recent history, for the most part, he's right. The general managers, if you're going back to the early 2000s, most of them got pretty significant time. Joe Douglas got 6 years. Mike Maccagnan got 4 years, almost into 5 years, but he got fired before that. But 4 years for Mike Maccagnan. Almost, well, 5 drafts, right? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So we got 5 drafts. Actually bumped that up to 5. John Idzik, only 2. That's the short one on this list, but he was a special, unique person, so that's why that's different. Mike Tannenbaum got 7 years. Terry Bradway got 5 years. So you're looking at, hey, a good chance you're going to get 5 years to fix this thing. And there's different routes that they could go to fix this thing. Maybe they want to retain Aaron Rodgers. Maybe they want to go a different direction at quarterback. They have a lot on this roster to work with. They have 4/5 of an offensive line. You have Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall. There's things to do here. And there's a narrative, like I said, that the Jets turn it over too quickly. And that, especially with GM, that's just frankly not true. With all of Woody's flaws, and believe me, there is plenty, he will give the general managers time. And I think that's, as Jordan is putting it, a big reason why so many people are interested in this job. Now, they interviewed 15 people for this job, and as we noted in yesterday's video, one is off the board. Mike Borgonzi is now the Tennessee Titans general manager. But there's only 2 openings left now. It's the Jets, and it is the Raiders. So I said in yesterday's video, and I still stand by that, they need to start trimming this list and start kicking up the second interviews now. But there are legitimate candidates that they could hire for this job, even with Borgonzi off the board. Greenberg, Hallaby, Spielman. Go right down the line. Pretty much as long as they don't hire Ryan Grigson, I think most Jet fans will be happy. There's some other names on the list that aren't fantastic. But Thomas Dimitrov, throw him on the list too. You could have 4 or 5 legitimate candidates for this Jets general manager position. So, yes, they potentially lost out on the number 1 guy on the list in Mike Borgonzi, but it doesn't mean that Borgonzi's a guarantee to work out in Tennessee. It doesn't mean that the Jets can't get a good general manager candidate in here. One of the reasons why they can is because of the amount of time that the candidate is likely going to get. It's the divisional round of the playoffs this week, so I'm wondering if the Jets are waiting until after this weekend to start narrowing their list. And I'm just warning Jet fans not to overreact to anything that happens this weekend. For instance, The consensus feels like Aaron Glenn is the number one target for the Jets. They could hire someone else. It's not a guarantee that Aaron Glenn's the next head coach. But the consensus feels like he is the favorite because how badly he wants the job. The Jets seem to like him. When there's smoke, there's fire on those kinds of things. If for whatever reason the Lions get eliminated this week, I don't think they do, but let's just play the game that they get eliminated this week. You know that there's people who are going to turn on Aaron Glenn. Say, oh, see, they couldn't even beat, Washington. The defense didn't play well enough against Washington. Now you're going to give him the Jets head coaching job. And my advice is to look at the full sample of the season and the full sample of their work rather than just the one game at the end, or however it ends, whether it ends for the Lions this week, next week, Super Bowl loss or a Super Bowl win. Try to look at the whole sample and not just how it ends and how they go out. Jason from Over the Cap had an interesting point, maybe saying the Jets are waiting on Aaron Glenn and then essentially going to let Aaron Glenn pick the general manager. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I don't think Aaron Glenn has the cachet to be making GM decisions, but I definitely think there's pairings that could work. Like, for instance, Spielman they overlapped with. There's some other names on the list that he's worked with. Figure it out. I think the Jets are in a position where they can figure it out and get a good candidate for the job. Let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comments on the Jets GM search, on Jordan Schultz's take that it's a more desirable job for GM candidates than maybe the public sees. Let me know what you think. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.